there's a point where like Q, who can do anything with a snap of a finger, he says, Data, I got a gift for you. And Data's like, do not make me human. Like, I want to earn that on my own. Yeah, he's like, I wouldn't dare do that to you. Yeah, with that. Oh. But he does give a gift and he snaps, he disappears. And then Data just goes, and just like fully like
for like the better part of a minute.
Yeah. And it's like, what an odd sensation. Like,
oh my goodness.
Oh my dang.
This mic is so far away from my face. No.
Damn.
I don't even know what that's from.
It's this guy who was reviewing burgers and like fast food or something like that. And then it was a Smosh or somebody did like a remix of it. And it's just like, oh my goodness, oh my damn. Like it was like
Smosh.
It might have been Smosh.
If so, they should have titled that episode Smosh Burgers.
Smosh Burgers. Wow. Well, no. So again, the guy was just a normal reviewer. And people would just remix it. It's kind of like the people who did the stinking them individuals. Hide your kids, hide your wife. You know that one. Did you ever see that? Okay, yeah. I'm gonna post them. You guys.
I'm just thinking of Weird Al doing like the debates and stuff. Like they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, or whatever.
Yeah. Well. No, you. It's funny, but like they auto-tuned it and made it, and it was this like thing. And I was like, and at one point he was just doing the normal thing. And it's like damn, like whatever. But then when they auto-tune it, it's like damn.
Yeah, like, that sounds like a lot like what Weird Al does. Like the biggest mascot I've ever seen. The biggest mascots that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it was all auto-tuned. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was Weird Al.
We love Weird Al. Yeah. You should do an episode of Weird Al.
We could like parody.
Yeah, parody.
Like truly. Yeah. And the fact that he does it with a song.
But if we asked him, he might it's kind of like, sure, what's being this dumb people's podcast.
Then we'd all have to dress up as him, and then he wears his normal like outfit.
Yeah. He would still be him though.
Yeah.
So it's fun. Speaking of silly, I was gonna say like last week, like the hook for Holy Grail, it's not those silly credits. It's when you get to the coconuts.
Oh, sure. Oh. Well, the credits are a pretty good hook though. Yeah.
I mean, that's like a hint, but I think the full hook is when you see the coconuts, you're like, okay.
He's right.
I see what this
is. The credits is the prologue.
Yeah.
Which I guess the prologue could be the hook too. Anywho, we're on another episode.
Hook 2, the rehookening.
Yeah, that was last week. We're still talking about last week because it was such a good episode.
It was. And we see you're back because of that. Thanks for joining us.
Right.
As a reminder, we are Bards and Balladeers podcast. We are that is us. We have the podcast that is about story and narrative in all its forms. So song, music, art, whatever, photography is another form of art. Anywho. BSing, that too. Obviously, I'm not great at it. So
that's BS.
Okay, yeah.
With that said too, I am Kate. I'm a fantasy author. And
Oscar, I'm a historical fiction novelist and nonfiction writer and other things.
And for the 40-something odd time, I'm Rio and I'm an author, fantasy author. And we are just trying to hone our craft. And we're here to discuss topics and hopefully get you guys involved and try to delve a little bit deeper so we can understand it and so can you.
Mm-hmm. And wherever you're at, whatever platform you're listening or watching, probably YouTube, but we're also available on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Amazon,
Amazon Music,
Spotify,
and Spotify. Yes, I don't have the list in front of me, so that's
good. Yeah. We'll get it eventually. Right?
Eventually, yes. And then also you can join us on Discord, where we have most of our conversations with our troop of fans. We don't have a name for our fan base yet. Help us out if you have an idea.
Or Bardettes.
Oh, that's great.
Bardeliers. I don't know.
Let's come up with it right now on camera.
Yeah.
Hey, this is live. This is real
help us out with that on Discord.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. What do you guys want to be called?
The links for that will be down below.
And groupies is not a good option.
Groupies.
Anywho, yes, Discord. Link is down below. Please go ahead and join us. We will welcome you. Bring all of your we'd be happy to talk with you there about episodes or just even topics for episodes. Just let us know. And then other than that, it would be
special going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. What month are we in?
I think April for sure.
Yeah. We're VGM Con.
Yeah, I think very soon.
Yeah, we'll be VGing Con and Rewind Book Fair.
And
I will be at Canterbury Park for the Spring Festival, Spring Craft Festival thing.
Which is huge.
Yeah. It's like April 17th through 19th. So visit me out there. And then one of the other days that we can go visit these guys.
Yeah.
At the Rewind Book Festival.
Yeah.
Book Fair.
And VGM Con.
VGM. So you on Thursday, you on Friday, and then me on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a busy weekend for you guys. So get to it.
Yeah. Save your money.
Yeah.
No, save it for that weekend.
Yes,
Don't save
that's
it through that weekend.
Yeah. It's very important. Stipulations. We got to be clear about this.
Right. I also think too, VGM is for if you like video game music.
Yeah.
Canterbury is if you like arts and crafts.
And all manner of,
Yeah.
And dog racing.
Everything.
Or horses too.
Horses. Yeah. And then Rewind is all books.
Yeah.
All the books you could possibly imagine.
It's got like a 90s flair. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Peter S. Beagle.
Peter S. Beagle. Yeah, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Last Unicorn. What are we talking about this week?
Today or this week, our episode is called Voice and Acquire. So we're just talking about voices and finding your character's voice whilst writing as you write.
As a character-centered episode this time around.
I wonder who brought it up. It was me.
Was it you?
Yeah,
Sorry,
it was. No, it's okay.
I was like, we need a character one.
Yeah.
A lot of world
Kate loves
building
characters.
stuff and plot stuff.
Do.
So we're just going to let you talk the whole time. We're just going to sit back and relax.
Yeah,
Quack.
I'm gonna go
Jesus, take the
break.
wheel. Kate, take the wheel.
Kate, take the wheel. But I mean, I did like this idea because I do think it's something that, as we were talking about it, it's so easy to fall into letting all of your characters kind of have either your voice as the writer or just the same voice throughout the entire thing, because it is like your message that you're trying to get through as the writer, as the creator. And there are some examples where this happens and it really doesn't matter. Like West Wing, I think is a big culprit of like a lot of the characters do have the same voice per se.
Yeah, a lot of Aaron Sorkin stuff.
Yeah.
Like has multiple characters with a similar voice.
Mm-hmm. But people are okay with it because what's being said and how it's being said, like in the show or in the episode, is for a very particular reason, or it packs a mean punch. So people don't really care.
Sure.
And it is easier to get away with in visual media because you can have characters look different. And so you know who's talking.
Well said. Yeah. No, I think it's true. And then there are, I think, examples. I do think that I don't want to speak for you too much in this episode, but like your characters, one, they're all very, very diverse, the part of the world that it's taking place in. Spanish.
The Spanish Main, the Caribbean.
And
specifically like pirates and privateers were more diverse than like naval ships.
Right. And that makes sense. But you use dialect partially. You don't rely completely on that, but your characters are quite unique too.
Yeah. Like, for the really diverse characters like Ajuban, ex-slave first mate, I have him speak with dialect, which if you don't know what dialect is, it's like when you hear people talk with an accent, you can read it. When you read it on the page and it's clear they're speaking with an accent, like Hagrid in Harry Potter, like you're a wizard, Harry. It's like you're might be spelled Y-E-R.
Yeah.
And Ajuban talks with no THs. So like, and some certain hyphenated words like something.
Oh, sure. Like an orc.
Wow.
We're not going to go there.
What orcs are amazing. Why you have to think they're like lower than you? That's offensive.
They're really tall.
Yeah. Or like there's a game that
we like orcs at Orc Entertainment.
Yes, we do. They're our very favorites. There's a video game where she's got a French accent and it says instead the, she says Z. So you sleep with the dogs, you get the fleas, no? Like, that's
even like
exactly.
the reboot, the first reboot Star Trek, where like Chekhov is trying to say
nuclear vessels.
No, that's the fourth. Like, but what was the young?
I can do that.
I can do that. There was something.
Anton Yelkin.
He was trying to get the computer to understand him, and it wasn't.
Oh.
What was he trying to say?
Shoot.
He had to like really try to enunciate with his Russian accent, and finally read what he was trying to say.
I should know this.
Yeah, because you.
I know. I do.
I should know this too. I've seen it a few times.
Yeah. May he rest in peace.
I'll find the clip.
Yeah. But either way, like that's what dialect is, and I have him talk like that. I don't have Koya talk like that. There's a lot of characters I don't do that with. I do it with some of the English accents, like the Cockney accent, kind of like Hagrid again. And then certain other rules. But so I use that as a way, but also different personalities. But sometimes, it is a struggle because some personalities, it's like maybe they have the same kind of like actual accent and they're intelligent characters who talk a similar way. And it's, you've got to rely on other literary devices to convey that on the page.
Sure. Yeah.
Or even characters that say a lot versus some that don't say a lot, but pack the same punch. Like I have a character that will say, 10 words for another character's 2.
I am Groot.
I mean, that's a great example of it, actually.
Who's talking now?
And Mario or
it's okay. You can say
Rio.
You can see my. Can't say that. You can see my little fake name.
Yeah.
Hodor.
Hodor.
There's another example.
You even in Ascend is
available now.
Is you have a ton of different tribes basically, and there's actually one particular one where they when they speak, I want to make sure I'm getting this right. They sort of like skip some words.
Yeah. So the Gaji people, which is like they're island people, and they're more relaxed and everything. And they, I always imagine them to being like very efficient with their time because they want to make the most of it and everything. So I gave them a way of speaking called choice words, what they call it. And it's like, and they'll take out like, if you know the subject, if you know like what you're talking about, and you don't need to say everything is like that good, like not, that is good. You don't have to say that good. It's like, she knows like if she would say, I'm trying to think of some of the things that Tual would say. And it was just like, she would say, God, I have to cut this out because I can't think of anything right now.
We can put in like an ADR of you reading that part.
Yeah, right. Actually,
or the clip from the audiobook. Yeah,
right. And it's just more like, it's like, we find, don't worry, or no worry, like don't worry.
We find,
like,
don't worry.
Yeah. Like, so it's things like that with everything, but it's not like, I didn't want to make it sound like either where it's just like, oh, don't worry, we find, it's just like, don't worry, we find. Like,
and I have Koya talk a little bit less perfectly in the first half, the first book, or even the first book.
Yes.
And the second book, it's less like that because her English has gotten better.
Sure. That's smart and everything.
Yeah.
So, but they all talk of that. And there's a part where I even bring that to attention is like, one of the girls goes, you don't say much, do you? And she's like, I say enough, enough.
Right.
And then she goes in this whole like thing. It's just like, I can say as many words as necessary for this conversation, but I choose not to. Like she goes on this thing and they're like, they go, what? Like,
she pulls a silent Bob.
Oh yeah, fair enough. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Funny.
The amount of stuff you don't know about me.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's a good example of how that's used effectively to give a good voice, because Silent Bob doesn't speak at all.
No ticket.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Oh, Indiana Jones. But I do think that actually points out an element of like this voice work, let's say, just for short form, just brings a layer of fun and also has world building, to connect it to, because these things, these differences, the variety of voice wouldn't happen if you didn't have an established place of where these characters like came from.
Fair enough.
And I just think that's fun.
It's also realism, because if you can't tell one character from another, it pulls you out of the story.
Yeah.
And, the realism, I mean, that's not the realism, but the realism is just that different people speak differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But even if it would be really similar, it will still pull you out of the story. And then that just, that messes with your experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's true.
Right. And I've heard too, though, which is kind of a tricky thing. Like, because don't worry, visually as artists and creative people, I love seeing like the dogs or whatever, or that or what have you. But I've heard readers say like, I hate it when I see it. Because like, I just want to know what type of accent, and like they say in a Cockney accent and in a French accent, because they need to be able, they don't want to waste time having to read the way that dialect's
because it can, I will say too, I've not had any complaints, but I have read dialect that's so extreme that it really slows you down.
Right.
Yes.
You had to
and
decipher
that
it.
also pulls you out of the story, even if it's more realistic and highly researched. That is not the end all be all. You want it to still be readable for the reader, or it's going to negatively impact their experience.
Right. It can't interrupt the flow.
Right.
Yeah.
I that's a good point, because I guess I would say that most of the time I don't love dialect in there. Although if it's like one character,
right,
I like it, because then it's, I don't know, then it's special, then it's very unique to that certain character, and then it makes it more fun. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, if it is like so super specific, I want to say like maybe some of the Harry Potter books had some of that.
Sure.
Or they had, like you said, like Hagrid.
Hagrid, a couple others.
His wasn't too bad, I feel like. But like there were some that maybe I'm thinking of some other books. I should know better, but
there can also be speech habits, like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or I think it's that book. It might be now that I think about it, a Terry Pratchett book where there's this character that always finishes other people's sentences. He like repeats the last word or two that someone else just said. And I've met people who do that.
Sure.
And it's written interestingly. Like if I were to end this sentence this way, for example, you know, so the other person
I would say, for example.
Yeah, exactly. And, and it can be really jarring when you encounter in real life. Real life.
It's kind of like
they themselves repeat it.
Yeah. So it's repeated like it's that the sentence ends and then the next person says it's like ... and the last couple words, and then they go on with their thought. And that's how it's written. And it's like, oh, that would annoy me. And it does annoy me as a person when I've run into it, but it's written really like creatively. That
interesting.
Kind of Sunny in Philadelphia. Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's like, these people are garbage people. It's funny to watch them, but when you meet those people in real life, it's like,
it's hard. It's challenging.
People, like, right?
Yeah. Jeremy Brett, who played Sherlock Holmes in the 80s series, like the Grenada, British series. He's kind of a cold character. Like I wouldn't cross the road to meet him, but it's really fun to play.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun. Like kind of, cut this because I can't remember the name right now. But
he said he had to drain all the emotion out of himself because he's a much more ebullient person.
Oh,
and so that was ebullient, like effusive and like over the top.
You just use two big words.
Effusive, effervescent.
Yes, no, I got it.
He's actually the one who said ebullient, so I just repeated it.
Yeah, I was just like, what ebullient?
He's just like,
it's a country of origin.
Overflowing and like speaks very emotively and emotionally.
I'm gonna find the
Sherlock Holmes is very dry.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I had to drain myself out of the character. Doing that actually made I found I couldn't do without being just a little bit mean or something.
Yeah.
Speaking of like that, actually to that point, if we talk about character and voices and everything, finding these actors who actually work in being these characters, and then they do have to completely change themselves. And for example, Hugh Laurie, who played House and everything, he had to learn to walk right again because he used a cane, but also he had to take like a year or so off just to come away from what he had to be in that show and how it affected him.
Well, also his wife was in Britain and he was here like that whole time.
Oh,
so he took a year or two off just to be back at home too.
Attaboy.
And speaking of Hugh Laurie, who I got familiar with way before that in Blackadder, another actor from that, Tim McInerney, the fourth season of Blackadder, he played a character with a facial tic. And it took him a while to get rid of the facial tick.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's insane that but that's cool, that depth that they will go to be these characters and everything, because they're so into it. I
think which poses a challenge to then us as writers specifically, creating all of these idiosyncrasies for all of these characters and staying true to all of these quirks and voices every single time we go to them.
Using the written word without the visual cue.
Yes, it is like this alone. Like, and the more we're talking about it, like this is an art form, like alone, aside from everything else. Yeah, we are.
There be artists in these waters.
But also why I think this is one of those very particular storytelling items or character items that it does take a long time to truly master this. And there's nothing wrong with not being good at it at first either. And that's one reason why I do feel like sometimes you have to give some authors some time to get into it. And
we have to walk before we can run.
Yeah.
Also, there is a distance between being good at it and mastering it.
That's true.
Sure.
I feel like I've gotten good at it. I do not feel like I've mastered it.
Sure.
Because I still have those scenes where it's, Jan, William, and Damien all having a conversation and like, who's talking again?
Right.
Yeah.
And I've got to try to make it clear, but I'm like, I think like this is the best I'm going to do with this. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think for some characters too, like that's more okay.
Right.
Right. Especially if they're from similar backgrounds, if they have similar temperaments, if they have similar, just ways of being and ways of speaking. But like you, Oscar, I personally, I don't think it's either the harsh critic in me, but I truly don't think I'm good at this yet. And why I do want to like keep practicing at it. And like, I think awareness is the first step to, getting good at it or to fixing the problem.
Sure.
Cause I know that for a long time I did write, everything was in my voice.
Right.
Like, it's almost like, what is it? What was that show on Comedy Central? Drunk History.
Oh,
Where the drunk person is telling this historical, story.
Yeah.
She's saying that her voice is the drunk voice.
Yes,
until
yes.
she can find
But really, I mean, in a way that shows the kind of like world building, the type of way that I create my story to begin with.
Yeah.
And then as I've developed that, now I'm letting each character's like voice truly shine.
Sure.
So
Because you're learning them, right?
it's true.
Yeah.
I am, and learning how different they are from one another too. So yeah, definitely varying degrees. And I think as long as we're always making progress too, I think that's what matters the most.
There are also times when it's not as important to establish character voice beyond what you've already done. Like I can use the cheat of Ajuban's dialect.
Sure.
But I feel like that's not good enough. That establishes voice, but I also need to establish it with his behavior and such, because it creates a baseline for a character acting in character or out of character. Like, oh, this is unlike him, and you might notice that as a reader and be like, okay, what's up with him?
Yeah.
Or is this just bad writing?
Right.
And one thing that he's always got going on is that he's curious. He's
Sure.
like, he used to be a GURPS character with a curiosity disadvantage. And
I learned about that.
so I
Where's
have
his hole
him
go?
Yeah. And so I have him always being more curious than is necessarily good for him.
Sure.
And later on, for reasons I won't disclose yet to these two guys, he has to sort of try to, cut back on that.
Sure.
Because there are reasons to try to cut back on that. And that's a struggle. And I spell that out. But, character voice is important beyond just showing people who's speaking,
Right.
but just it emphasizes who the character is internally. Just as much as like, okay, it's person A versus person B.
I would agree because, at least to me, Ajuban I liked him because he had his serious side, for First Mate, right? But he was also, to me, just very playful.
Sure.
And I didn't know about the curiosity thing. Even like, I didn't know how GURPS worked until New Year's this last year.
Insider secret.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's true. But once you said that and that he had that technically a disadvantage, like that tracks, that comes through in a way that isn't, you don't have to specifically state that for it to come across. And so that is where voice work is fun. It does, show more of the character than we can say with actual words.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he's always laughing too. He's a very kind of happy character. And there's a point where he has a little bit of an injury, and every time he laughs, he's like, ow.
I always love that trope. Like,
Yeah.
And but because I try to have healing be realistic, he's doing that for a while.
Yeah. Good.
Mhm.
It comes up
like
for a
week
while.
or two, or like maybe even longer.
Yeah.
One of the things too, to this point where like how people speak is also word choice, because I have like younger kids or like people who just maybe even like have a lisp or like that will use words like, instead of going, they'll say gonna, or like stuff like that. I like when using those kind of words, because I have Kamani, one of my other characters. He was younger and he just
He's always saying 6'7".
6'7". Sorry. Fucking done. But just words like that are really cool. But even to the point where this is why co-writing comes into such a realm where I think it's fantastic. And if you can do it, you should try. But I mean, when you like, I would tell you like, this is kind of like the direction I want you to go. And you got that voice, even though, like I said, I wanted to talk about something like this, or like maybe she can talk, she says this, whatever. And then you just completely rewrite it, a section or whatever. And then it becomes her voice, her actual voice. That's not even mine. Even though I'm like the conscience, and then you're like the actual like mouth,
Sure.
And it's a fantastic thing. And even with like, our first author, Wendy, I gave her that direction. And like I told her, like, I'm not going to change anything that you write, except maybe Salil's voice, because that I know very importantly how she would speak. If it
it's
ever
too well established to like risk that.
Right. And even then I can like just take what she wrote. It's like, she would actually say it this way or whatever,
Right.
So there's a lot of, like if you can ever even if you get somebody to like, if you can trust anybody with the factor or the idea of how somebody would speak, or someone tells you like that seems like a little out of character or something like that, maybe you should just reanalyze. It doesn't mean you have to listen to somebody, but there's always like having someone to just kind of analyze that and give you a second take is not such a bad thing. I feel like sometimes.
Right. Sometimes it's as simple too as making sure that characters' priorities are the way they're supposed to be. Like different characters prioritize different things, and that's part of their voice. I feel like.
Sure.
I agree.
It's sort of like there's a scene in Lost where the character is like, where are Sawyer and Jack? It's like, why Sawyer and Jack? Like, why did you say them in that order? Because most of the audience is thinking Jack and Sawyer. It's like, why in that order? Because it's different. It's a priority. Now, it's visual, who's talking. There's all kinds of other signifiers of voice.
Right.
But that priority is like, another one of those.
Oh, I thought it was just syllables. Like when you say ladies and gentlemen, it's like you say it because it's less syllables, more syllables.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
In this case, not so much.
There's a natural like flow of things too, though.
Yeah.
But then, talking about different voices too, and like what you guys were just talking about, you couldn't
prioritization.
Such, I do think that one of the reasons why, again, a lot of the topics that we've picked in the last month are ones that really like tickle my brain. But in this context, I really think I like voice work, or I have a hidden appreciation for it, is because when you talk about all the instruments like in a symphony, each of them get used for very particular reasons. And Oscar, you were just talking about how like you establish a voice and then you have to stay true to that voice.
Yeah.
Whereas like very similarly in an orchestra, each instrument, like you have an oboe, it's going to sound like an oboe every time you go to use it. You use it because it sounds like an oboe too. And I also think that like another side of that is that when you sit in an orchestra, like you close your eyes, you're going to recognize that, a particular instrument, even with your eyes closed.
Right.
So yes, voices of different instruments in an orchestra. It's just actually, I will confess a character element that I use when developing characters. Are you ready?
Synthesizer.
No. Well, in a way, a way, because I know instruments in an orchestra very well. Like to me, like they have personality types.
Sure.
And so when I'm going,
the best.
When I'm going to create a character, one of the things I ask myself when I have them established and like trying to get to know their voice and who they are is, what instrument would they play in an orchestra? Because to me, like I said, I already think that every instrument in an orchestra sort of has a personality type of who plays it. So that's something that I do that kind of has to do with voice, not necessarily, but more like personality trait. Just thought I could confess that here in the safety of our podcast.
Sure.
Piccolo is like Chihuahua or something.
I could do a whole episode by myself on the different mentalities, but I think Piccolos are very like the head of the army. That's the fife at the
the fife.
It's like but I do like the idea, because when I was playing a game called Final Fantasy 14, they just took all the characters. Somebody just took all the characters from the main roster and then put them in a band. And then they're like, oh yeah, they would play keyboard. Oh yeah, they're playing drums and everything. And it's just kind of fun to see, like, well, to your point, that voice expressed through different mediums or different, like, things like coffee shop again. Like, who's going to be the manager? Who's going to be the best barista? Who's going to be the nicest to all the people? Who's going to be the one that's going to fight the person because they came back with their order?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very true. So it different layers, adds not just to the speaking voice, but even just the character. Because there are some characters that are mute too, so they might not actually say anything either. And
like Cotton in Pirates of the Caribbean with his parrot.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh,
and then also
a little talking for him. Yeah.
Rise of the Guardians, which is an animated film about like Santa Claus, Jack Frost,
the holiday creatures, right?
Kind of
or the fairy tale creatures.
The Howl in the Easter Weedentine's Day movie. That was a reach. But there's a character in there. It's Sandman, like the typical Sandman that like gives you, dreams and whatnot. He's a mute character, but he says so much he uses his sand to like emote for him in a way.
Make images.
And even sometimes just like his own gestures.
Oh, sure.
And so there's different ways of, I guess, showing character's voice, like if they don't actually have words to say too.
Yeah.
Right. And also, how would that affect their behavior? If someone, had always been mute or had always been deaf or always been blind or something versus it became that way. Someone who like became recently blinded is much less likely to be able to read Braille. Someone who's recently deaf couldn't really do sign language probably.
Right.
That's going to, it all kind of feels like character voice because it still affects communication.
Right. It's who they are. So even more than like voice, like physical voice, it's personality, stuff
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
And that, one thing that's I think is important to let happen with that in your stories. It's a way of letting your, surrendering to the character rather than trying to control the character.
Yeah.
But that also means that you have to sometimes, like, who that character is sometimes going to conflict with the plot that you had planned.
Sure.
And in a lot of those cases, you need to let who that character is trump what you had planned.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're out of character.
Right.
And people don't necessarily know what you had planned. So just adapt that.
Right. Got to be flexible.
Yeah.
It's true. And in a way that creates a character-driven plot, because sometimes, like you're saying, I've had an idea of how this story is going to go. Then I get to this point where this character is faced with a decision. I'm like, but they wouldn't do that. So how this entire thing that I have planned is just, it doesn't even matter because they wouldn't make that choice.
And here we come right back again to probably the third time of Indiana Jones and the shooting the swordsman.
Yes.
Yeah. It's true.
That's totally a moment of character voice.
It really is.
Because again, in the persona, man.
Yeah. And one of the things too that kind of cycling to ventriloquism and like puppetry is also another like wonderful way of portraying, just like, because it's not even just like the motion of like the puppet or dummy or whatever. It's that voice that you portray, especially with ventriloquism, like where you project it and people can tell that you're doing the voice, whatever. If you're a good ventriloquist, you can hide it and your mouth won't move or whatever. But it's such a weird and amazing thing to me. Like, I think it's fantastic how like Jeff Dunham can have all these characters and he can shift between them. Like, and we're all, even with like you watch the specials, their cameras are focused on different people and they know, but like, even if you're just watching them, like you can see the dialogue back and forth, even though it's just one guy. And it's just this wonderful portrayal that somebody can do through like an inanimate object, and I like puppetry again, like with Muppets, even like Big Bird, and all that stuff, Snuffleupagus and Elmo and everything. And they're just pieces of fabric,
right?
And it's fantastic. And I think it's really cool.
And and you can't just switch between voices. You're switching between characters because you're doing the whole production. They have to act like those characters, not just speak like them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the grumpy old puppet is going
Yeah.
to say something completely
Walter?
different than Peanut. Yeah.
And I imagine there are outtakes where, someone gets the voice right and the character wrong or
Right.
something, or vice versa, where
Right.
one sounds like the other, like, oh, cut,
Right.
No, it's true.
And yeah, just given it's all that creative process to give voices to the inanimate, right? It's to because these people don't exist, right? All these people we're writing, they don't. Well, they do once we give them this playground, this voice for what they're doing and everything, and we're trying to make them distinct because we're trying to make them as real as possible. Like to put something out there to the world and everything.
I think some of the character mannerisms too are like we talked about a little bit about that, but how characters express emotion a lot of the time, just maintaining, like staying with the same emotion between characters. How expressive are they of that? How do they express that? Like I've got a character, and again, I created a GURPS sheet for this character. So like they've got, it's funny. I put like an advantage that perfectly offsets a disadvantage.
Oh, sure.
Oh.
Where it's like the 15-point disadvantage of weirdness magnet. So if anything really weird happens, it happens to him.
Sure.
And then the 15-point advantage called unfazable. There's just nothing phases him.
Yeah.
It's like, guess why? But
because he knows the weird stuff are coming towards him or whatever.
But yeah, like, so he's got these dueling things, but also I've wrote it in where you never really see him laugh.
Oh,
Like he'll appreciate a joke, but he's not really laughing at it. He just builds on it or something. And
to the joke, you mean? He builds on the joke again.
Right. But he's not really ever laughing. You never hear him laugh. There's one scene I have where like the character's like, is that him laughing? He's on the other side of a door.
Right.
And you're like, I've never heard him laugh, but he's with this other guy, then they're always together.
Yeah.
Like, because they're pranksters and stuff.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
And they're playing a prank on the guy who has the gullible disadvantage. It's like, so they just keep messing with him and like having it be this fun thing.
Did you get experience for being successfully prankster and or successfully pranking the gullible person?
If it's in your character.
Sure.
Ooh, I like that.
To that effect, I was just thinking about when you say someone doesn't laugh is Data from Star Trek when Q gives him the one gift.
Oh yeah.
So it's a little spoiler for you, but there's a point where like Q, who can do anything with a snap of a finger, he says, Data, I got a gift for you. And Data's like, do not make me human. Like, I want to earn that on my own. Yeah, he's like, I wouldn't dare do that to you.
Curse you
with that.
Oh.
But he does give a gift and he snaps, he disappears. And then Data just goes, and just like fully like
for the better part of a minute.
And it's like, what an odd sensation. Like, and then it was done. Like,
So you just gave him the power to laugh just for a moment.
Yes. And it was the most beautiful scene. Like, I love
that
it.
is a fantastic
Star Trek has got a lot of good stuff like that.
Yeah.
And good characters. Like every character in that show is very distinct. Like you can, like if you just read their dialogue, I bet you could pick out who said that if you like knew the characters well enough.
And I kind of want to put that to the test because I feel like there have to be scenarios where actually you couldn't tell.
Maybe between because I bet you Data and Geordi you could tell. Maybe like Troy and Beverly. I don't know. I would have to. I want to see some dialogue.
Crusher. Yeah.
Beverly, we're very close.
First name basis. Wow. But yeah, I think that's it's important to see, show how people convey emotion like that and why.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One thing too that we wrote an anthology together. And one of the characters is like a bird creature that doesn't speak any English or anything. They squawk and they caw and they make gestures and everything. And it was such a wonderful experiment of how do we portray this bird trying to talk to this other person, even though the bird can understand the guy perfectly. He's trying to decipher what their culture's like, or what he's trying to get across and everything. And
he's not the most intelligent.
No,
man.
he is not. So it's just okay, bird, what are we doing today? So, and that was a fun experiment. And I love doing that because it makes you think about what are these modes of communication and what is the voice that they share, like, you know, because there's a shared voice between people too, you know.
Yeah.
Like the what they call it, the nonverbal communication, so that the cue is body language. Yeah. And we can look at each other and be like, all right, like, yeah. We're looking at somebody just like, all right, like, you know, you don't see it because you're always turned around, but yeah,
it's always to my back. No, I feel it more than I see it, you know. There's other body language that you're not in control of. I pick up on that.
Yeah. The boner's not for you; it's for her. You know?
I don't feel that from that distance anyway.
Neither do I.
Or at any distance.
Now I am sad.
We always go back here.
Yeah, that's who we are. Don't try to make us unauthentic.
No, you can't, because it's our voice, not yours.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, even us as authors too, you know, we have to protect the individual voice of each individual characters once we establish it. And we do have to like keep fighting for that too, because even as we have a particular plot that we want to get, you know, towards the end to reach a climax, we have, you know, world building that we're establishing. And so new things, I think, are constantly being added to the story, which will then what we want our characters to respond to them. And so it does take work to make that character's particular voice stay constant, or the continuity of that character's voice
to remain. I have given thought to, like, you know, one time that you can create an extra bit of poignancy, or like just or even counterpoint, I guess, with character voice is with a character death. Like have that be the one time their voice changes a bit.
Oh, sure.
Like, you know, for example, if I were to kill off this one character who never laughs, that might be the one time he laughs or something, you know?
Yeah.
And that can really be extra jarring in that way, you know, and just kind of like have that moment land. Like this is the one time that's different.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if he like he's laughing because it's like, oh, he just like finally like he's mourning, but he's like remembering a really funny time that they shared together and everything. And that was enough now because he's got that mixed emotion of like the loss, and then also I should have laughed. Like, or what
the regret.
The regret. Yeah. It's just like, what is it? There's one thing is like, I should have saw more sunrises or whatever. It's just like one of those.
There was a Tracy Ullman bit about how, you know, I have one regret. I wish I had taken more pictures of my meals and posted them online. Because she's totally trolling the general public with that sketch. Yeah. This is so great. That's but I mean, I'm not. By the way, I'm not saying I'm going to kill that character. By the way, but I always do think a little bit though of the movie Tombstone, where Val Kilmer's character dies. He's like, "This is funny. That's what that is."
Yeah,
you know,
because it's the cosmic joke, right? It's just like the ironic nature of his death and that what he was trying to do and all that stuff.
When you don't know what's funny, it might be that, you know, maybe I did see something, like did see a light. Unlike Morgan.
Oh, sure.
Morgan's like, it's not a damn thing. I don't see anything.
Yeah. That's fair. I was this. Yeah. You know, I got you.
It could be like, it could be anything.
Yeah.
You know, but just character acting a way that you just haven't seen. Death scene. You know, it's not necessarily even outside of their voice. Yeah. It's just an extreme extrapolation of it or something.
Well, and also too, I think that particular moment would be a moment where vulnerability really doesn't matter anymore. And so if a character,
nobody else is there.
Right. And so if this character is finally like letting their guard down to us as the viewer, like it's that much more like impactful, I think, to what?
Sorry. It's just because when we're talking about death now, the Gray, when you first showed it to me and everything, that first death and everything, I was like, holy shit. Like, excuse me.
Quack.
Yeah, quack. The way that he has to like, basically like, you're dying.
Yeah, like you are going to die.
Through that death and everything. It's like, oh, is this what the rest of the movie is going to be like? I don't know. Because it was so well. I mean, Liam Neeson's a great actor and everything. And the way he did that. And it's like, it sets up his character for...
I just made a realization.
Sure, I want to hear about that.
Because he's had to talk somebody through that before. Oh my God, I need a moment.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen it.
Yeah. And it's a wonderful like just scene where it just again establishing there's a few things that he does, but he doesn't see any like real words beforehand when he gets on the plane, and you can tell he's like an oil rig like protector. He like kind of patrols the area, and he gets on that plane, and he's the one who's just kind of in charge. And then he just has to like try to help these people who are inexperienced, because he's about to get out of that life, isn't he? Was he? I can't remember.
There's so much.
Okay,
I love this movie. You guys know I love this movie so much. But the fact that it, again, made another realization about this goddamn movie.
How perfect this movie is.
Oh, man.
And I like when like actual character voice, like how they communicate melds with their behavior. Like again, Babylon 5, there's this character, different species.
Yeah.
Never is seen outside of his encounter suit as a key, like the Vorlon, only speaks cryptically. No, usually people don't really know what he's talking about because he's speaking in metaphor a lot.
Oh, I know what guy you're talking about. Yeah.
But then at one point, someone's telling Captain, there's one of the ambassadors wants to see you. He's like, can it wait? He's like, I don't know. It's Ambassador Kosh. And like in the 3 years I've been here, he's never asked to see anybody.
Sure.
And so like the mysterious, like you come to me, you try to figure me out, all that. It's flipped on its head. Like, okay, he actually wants to see someone. It like adds weight to it. And so you can do that with that combination of voice and behavior. Like this is the cryptic character actually seeking somebody out.
Right. And I think that's the trick. And I was going to like wrap up with this, but like how do you make people stand out, and what are like the best ways possibly to make these characters? And we went over a few things like, the way they speak, the dialect, and all this stuff and everything. But it is all a task in how to make your character stand out amongst the choir, like that voice in the choir, and then add to the rest of the voices to make it a good coherent like thing.
And it's a really difficult question to answer because it's kind of like the character with all these things we're talking about. It's how do I make a good character?
Yeah.
Because then they automatically stand out,
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, like we could talk a long time about that, but like, what are the signifiers, like how do you use communication well and behavior well? And like, even just, even like right down to fighting style.
Sure.
Like I've said before in a previous episode, like Captain Jack from Pirates of the Caribbean, he said like Johnny Depp said in the commentary, like he imagined Jack standing like Muhammad Ali with his hands down instead of the classic guard position, like not really wanting to fight.
Sure.
But it's a character thing. It's not about like this. He's going to get in a fight, and this is what you do when you get in a fight. No, this is what he does.
Right.
And it's
not the standoff,
right. And also just sort of least amount of effort possible, because he's also got that in his character.
Sure,
like, why would I put my hands up?
Or like with what Kate will say, like, all my character traits are just as long as they're curvy.
They can't all be curvy, Rio.
It's like, they're all beautiful. There's a reason. Scientific.
You've got magnificent character traits. Both of them.
So voluptuous and
bodacious. Character traits.
Yeah.
Because character definitely, again, there's so much that can be said about it. And I think the more we talk about the other legs of storytelling, the more I love the other ones. But every time we come back to a character thing, I'm like, ooh,
that's it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It might even be more profitable in some of this, like what you said. How do you create good? We've talked a little bit about that. What marks what as a bad effort at character voice?
When it's stereotypical, or it's just kind of generic, or I don't want to say offensive, because that could be used well if it's in a comedic reason or whatever. But it's just like when it's like you go to high school girl and they all talking like Valley Girl. That is not a Valley Girl voice, but if they do the Valley Girl voice, that's been a very stereotypical like teenage girl, like in
another way, what I found to be a bad example that's along the lines you're talking about, Big Bang Theory.
Oh yeah, the was it? They say the stupid, the smart people for dumb people, or I forgot what they said, because
I don't know. I always feel like that thing that show is written by someone who's only watched Nerds,
right?
Is not one themselves or something like
it's
that.
Was it a nerd show for dumb people? Where like Star Trek's a nerd show for smart people. It was something like that somebody said, because it's just like it's what people think nerds
Right.
are like, yeah.
But to me, I don't know if I was reading that on the page that I could tell who was speaking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's the thing. Like all nerds are the same, right?
Right. Yeah, this is why it's funny. Like,
Yeah.
Other than, I mean, Raj, like culturally, like differences, you
And
know,
that's
they're-
about it. That's
right.
that's the dialect thing.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
Like, well, we're going to cheat that way.
Right. But I also think that like talking about like another bad way of doing it is just that if what they're saying, and you alluded to this, but I just want to phrase it in a different way. If what they're saying is just generic.
Like, I guess characterized by why does this character need to be the one saying it?
Yeah. Yeah. And like if
That's
you
not well established.
right, if you ask yourself that, you'll end up with finding a stronger piece of dialogue specific to that character.
Right.
Versus like if any character from this, you know, age group and from this, you know, city would all say the same thing, that's not your character's voice.
That's, I think, a good piece of advice I might take on is like, okay, if I can't tell myself, if I know I'm having voice problems, like, what's a better way of saying it for this character?
Sure.
Not just like, oh, I'm like, you can focus on the negative. I'm doing this wrong, but like, what's the solution? Like, well, how could I make this character be the one to own it?
Yeah.
And that's one reason why I use the instrument mentality a lot.
Like a viola wouldn't do that.
They would beat him over the head with the viola.
Truly,
The character wouldn't do that.
I mean, it would be like
Yeah.
you would go to a violin instead of a viola because a violin will sing it much prettier than a viola might.
It's not so high pitched, right?
Right.
And I think it would be an interesting musical exercise to portray being out of character, to have those instruments do things that are at like the edge of what they should or normally do.
Like blanking instead of bowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not talk about Boeing. They make terrible airplanes.
Ugh. And on that note,
I was going to say, you got to listen to my voice right now. Say something very important. We're done. Let's go.
Fantastic. Well, we have been Bards and Balladeers. Thank you for joining us. I am Kate.
I'm Oscar.
I'm Rio.
We'll catch
see
you
you later.
later.
Bye.